Peter sat on the edge of his neatly made bed, his face glowing with a smile that seemed to stretch beyond the small walls of his room. For weeks, he had been counting down to this moment, the end of the long, suffocating holiday. Freedom was now just a few hours away. It wasn't that Peter loved school so much. Lectures, assignments, and late-night study sessions were not exactly thrilling. But home. Home felt like a cage. His days had been swallowed up by endless errands, church activities, and his father's strict rules. Peter sighed deeply, his thoughts heavy. If only I could tell them I'm not a child anymore, that I can make my own choices. But he knew he lacked the courage to stand up to his father, the highly respected senior pastor, and his equally firm mother. He thought of his friend Anthony, who seemed to live without such restraints. Anthony's parents barely cared if he came home for holidays or not. The thought made Peter smile bitterly. He reached for his phone and dialed Anthony's number. "Guy, I can't wait to get out of this house," Peter said, laughing. Anthony chuckled. "I told you, man, that's why I stayed back. Too much drama." They swapped stories about Peter's strict upbringing, both laughing until Peter felt his spirits lift. Tomorrow couldn't come soon enough. Peter's father, Mr. Gabriel, had once been a well-paid chartered accountant before answering the call to full-time ministry. His wife, Esther, had stood faithfully by his side, sacrificing her own comfort to build their church from the ground up. They weren't rich, but they lived decently and gave their children the best education they could afford. Esther, a hardworking trader, rose before dawn every day to hustle at the local market. Every naira she made was carefully stretched to cover fees, meals, and other needs. The evening before Peter's departure followed a familiar tradition. "Peter," his father began, his tone calm but firm, "remember the son of whom you are. You don't just carry your name, you carry ours. We've sacrificed so much for you." His mother nodded. "Please, my son. Don't disappoint us. Stay focused, stay disciplined." Peter forced a smile, tired of the same lectures. "Daddy, Mommy, I know. I haven't failed you before, and I won't." But his father wasn't done. He spoke for several more minutes, his words heavy with hope and warning. Finally, he gestured for Peter to kneel. Together, he and Esther prayed over him with fervent voices. When it was over, Peter rose with a weary smile, murmured his thanks, and retreated to his room. He sank into bed, relieved. Tomorrow marked a new chapter, one he had longed for. One that would change everything. The journey back to school was long and exhausting. When Peter finally dragged his travel bag through the narrow hostel corridor and pushed open his creaky door, disappointment hit him like a wave. Dust coated every surface. The waste bin overflowed. The air smelled stale. But Peter refused to give in to frustration. He threw open the windows, rolled up his sleeves, and got to work. Hours passed before the room was fresh and tidy again. His stomach rumbled. He smiled, knowing exactly where to go, Mama number 1. The food joint was a legend among students for its soft, warm bread and perfectly cooked beans. Moments later, Peter returned with a meal and ate hungrily, as though celebrating a personal victory. Yet even a full stomach couldn't dim his excitement to see his friends. After a quick shower, he made his way to Anthony's lodge. "Peter! Peter!" Anthony shouted from his window when he spotted him. "Anthony!" Peter yelled back, his face lighting up. The two friends embraced, their laughter echoing down the hallway. Anthony's apartment was a ward away from Peter's humble hostel. The two-bedroom flat was sleek and well-furnished, filled with gadgets that spoke of wealth and ease. As they sat in the plush living room, Anthony handed him a drink. They exchanged holiday stories. Peter spoke of endless chores, church programs, and his father's firm guidance. Anthony leaned back casually, grinning as he told stories of late-night outings, casual relationships, and the financial freedom his parents gave him. "I even had a close call with a married woman," Anthony said with a mischievous grin. Peter chuckled uneasily, feeling a sting of envy. His mind drifted to the 10,000 Nigerian nairas his mother had saved for him, a sum that had to cover everything, even his bus fare. He sighed. What a life! Anthony noticed. Guy, wake up. There's a party tonight. We can't miss it. Peter's face brightened. For real? Anthony grinned. Yeah. Let's call Francis. Minutes later, Francis promised to be on campus soon, eager for the night ahead. Peter returned to his hostel to prepare, excitement buzzing in his chest. Tonight promised freedom, fun, and a taste of life beyond his parents' watchful eyes. The next day, the sun beat down on the busy campus. Students moved between lecture halls, laughter filling the air. Under the shade of a large tree, Peter, Anthony, and Francis gathered, their voices animated as they replayed the events of the night before. They laughed about dancing with strangers and soaking in the energy of the party. Guys, Anthony said, his grin wide, there's this girl I danced with. I'm serious about her. I think I like her for real. The others roared with laughter. You, Mr. Ladies Man. Francis teased. That's rich. Their laughter carried across the courtyard, catching the attention of an elderly man on a nearby bench. He stood slowly and approached them. My sons, the man said kindly, may I speak with you for a moment? Francis frowned. Sir, I've had all the lectures I need from my parents, he said flatly. But the old man's eyes were steady. Please. Just a few minutes. It might help you. Peter, sensing sincerity, nudged his friends. Let's hear him out. They agreed reluctantly. Thank you, the man said softly. My name is John Badmus. His voice carried a weight of experience. I was the only child of my parents. My father passed away when I was young, and my mother raised me alone. She was a woman of faith and strength, determined to see me succeed. She refused every suitor and worked tirelessly to provide for me. He paused, a flicker of pain in his eyes. I excelled in school, winning scholarships and trophies. God blessed me with the gift of singing, and I used it to bless others. My mother's sacrifices paid off, and I became the pride of my school and church. Life seemed perfect, but I had no idea what was coming. No idea how life was about to test me. The three friends leaned forward, drawn in by his calm but powerful voice. Even Francis, who had been skeptical, couldn't help but listen. John's tone lowered. I thought I was untouchable back then, but pride is a dangerous thing. He looked at them, his gaze steady, as if trying to warn them of something yet to come. To be continued. Open Book. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for the full story of John's journey and more inspiring stories.